Hi, I'm Doug, the Big Cheese Schwartz, host of the Twisted Tattoo Collectors podcast and the owner of Big Cheese Studios. This week, I'm your host on the webinar all about how your kids can change the world. Behind me, the Bill Ayler Memorial River Stage. In front of us, the future.
Wow, talk about missing some cues there. Okay, so, lessons learned, because nothing in theater or, radio or webinars ever goes right. Always have multiple mics available. So as I said, I'm Doug Schwartz, and I'm the owner of Big Cheese Studios, and we're here to do a webinar about how theater kids can change the world. Now, if you're checking this out, there are all sorts of things that's defined by the theater experience. One of the things is it builds confidence. I mean, kids learn to be brave. I mean, the first time you step out on a stage that looks like, this one, this is actually from the Addams Family that was produced by San Angelo Broadway Academy not too long ago. And you step out on a stage like this and you see all of these kids, all of these peers that are filing in. And if you notice, this is just as the crowd is building. I wish I had photos of what it looked like outside, because there were, I believe, 15 schools brought to this one performance. So that's what kids had to experience, is they had to go out and see, all of these people out there. And let me tell you, the lights don't dim the sound that all these people can make. So let's take a look. I mean, obviously confidence is a thing. Learning to work as a team. You can't have a production, where you just have one star. Okay, you can, but it's not the kind of shows that we're putting on with kids. Everybody works together. I mean, not only the on stage, the cast, but the crew have to all be in sync. I mean, otherwise it turns out kind of like this podcast where you wonder exactly where I'm coming from 90% of the time. So learning to see through somebody else's life and experiences, that's one of those things that I cannot stress how important it is, because so many people now have their own experience and they demand something for somebody else, but it's not always exactly what somebody else needs or even wants. So we try to kind of keep that, walking a mile in my shoes. I mean, that's where it comes from. Understanding and education are the way forward. And they're the way forward to a healthy and successful society. And that's the kind of thing that theater builds. Let's see what Angela Hill Brooks has got to say about theater and our kids.
Theater is wonderful for kids, but not only for the obvious reason of the craft itself and being on stage and learning music and script and dialogue. It's also important to get kids in here because it builds their self-esteem. We have kids that come in here with no self-confidence. They don't like to talk in front of people, and it gives them a chance to get up in front of people and in a safe environment and practice things like that. It's communication skills, it's listening skills, it's problem-solving skills, it's learning how to work with different personalities and different environments. So I think theater offers children a giant spectrum of learning things that they can take with them throughout life. So it's really important to get kids in here, not only to introduce them to the art of theater, but to teach them so many other facets of life as well.
Yes, I throw shameless plugs in every time you turn around. Get over it. I'm going to do it. So, I mean, you heard Angela. It's about expanding these kids and really giving them a new way to look at the world. Overcoming fears. We've hit on that. I mean, speaking to a crowd. Let's see, where would speaking to a crowd be important in your life? Doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, creators. You know, we have a whole new breed of creators in the world now, in YouTube and TikTok and Vimeo, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is something that our world has come to. We FaceTime, and we always are talking to people, not just on the phone, but in a face-to-face manner. It's kind of interesting that we've gone from Facebook and Instagram, where we live vicariously through somebody else, to starting to actually go face-to-face and starting to really bring that personalization back in. And that is part of training for a lifetime of success. Taking direction. You're going to work for somebody, and you're going to go to school, and you're going to learn. And when you're learning, you have to take direction. You can't always be in charge. And that's another thing that the kids are going to pick up while they are doing this. So let's get into communication skills, because that's one that's probably my favorite. I started in radio when I was 16 years old. And the first time I worked in a radio station, you know, one of the things that we put out was how important your speaking voice was, and your ability to enunciate and to be clear and to speak at a pace that people would understand. And that's important. But in theater, your body language is just as important as the dialogue. Think about that. Just as important. If you looked at, let's say, Beauty and the Beast, and the beast isn't necessarily speaking in certain parts, but you understand what he meant by it. Opera is one of my favorite things to use here, because if you went to an opera, odds are you're not going to understand the language that the opera is in. But through the body language, through the acting, through the story that they are telling with all of their being, you would get it. Think how important that is in day-to-day life. Not only being able to utilize that body language and exude the confidence and exude the power that you have, but think about being able to read it as well. That lawyer in court, that salesman on a sales call. It's very important to understand that a well-rounded person understands numerous ways to communicate. In and out of character. One of my favorite stories that I've ever been involved in is you take a young man who's 10, 11, 12 years old, developmentally disabled, extremely introverted, autistic, and let's call him Bill. And Bill is Billy to his mom and dad. Every day, Billy goes out. Billy knows how he's going to operate. But we teach Billy how to be Bill. Bill is a persona that Billy can slip on, and he can meet new friends. Bill is a persona that goes out and creates this group around him, and learns, that's the word I'm looking for, learns how to live as Billy. You know, Bill learns that Billy's a good guy. Bill learns that Billy is talented and funny and all of these important things. So it's not about faking it. It's not about being unusual, even though a lot of us are. But it's about learning who you are and learning that other people are willing to accept you, and learning that even though you put on a persona originally, a character, that it's still all about the person that's deep down inside. Ooh, deep. I'm telling you. So let's get to working in groups. That becomes second nature. Look at the picture up here in the corner. These kids are learning a dance for the first time. This was actually tryouts for Addams Family. And Angela showed them the dance and within 10 minutes had them doing it. And they were doing it as a group. They learn how to operate as a unit, as a group. And again, how important is it to have those type of communication skills and those types of experiences in life? Memorization. I mean, you have to learn pages and pages of dialogue when you're in one of the leads of a story. And you start that career with no dialogue, but learning your place on the stage. No dialogue, but learning how to move from one point on the stage to another. To having dialogue, maybe only one or two words, one or two lines, and moving around on stage. Until you finally have one of the main characters, and you have to learn how to block, which basically means moving around on stage. And you have to remember that for an entire play. 2 hours, 2.5 hours worth of play, worth of dialogue, worth of blocking. And you have to stay in character. I can see where that can come in pretty handy in life. Not only that, but you learn about other cultures. There is nothing in the world more important than getting out and learning that your own little bubble is not the entire world. Think about how important that would be after college and when you start your working life. Or it doesn't matter if you go to college or not, to be honest with you. It's that life that you lead. And you understand, about the people around you and the fact that they come from different cultures and the fact that they do different things and that it's okay. How important would that be to a normal kid's life? Friendships, empowerment, dealing with success, facing failures, all things that are part of building who we are. And I know a lot of people out there going, yeah, well, my boy's going to play football. You can still play football and be in theater, believe it or not. Those things do not butt heads against each other. Instead, you continue to build, and not only build, but you bridge social groups. Ooh, more things to think about. Theater can and should be part of your kids' lives. So, most major colleges these days have scholarships available for theater students, and that offers an opportunity for students who may never have planned on continuing their education to go to college. I mean, that's pretty important too. I think about, where kids start and a couple of years ago, we went and saw SpongeBob on stage as a theater production. And I'm not going to lie. I thought, oh my God, what are we doing? But the color and the excitement and the joy and the fact that so many songs were just insanely catchy, that it was amazing because here our kids got involved. And I mean, I had young kids at the time and they were, wide-eyed and excited about watching this show. Lion King, which has also been produced here recently. Same thing. It's a story that they saw. They saw the movie, but then they get to see the play where everybody is dressed up and we've got songs and we have dancing. It is a direct line to success. And a line that I think a lot of you understand. Academic success of theater students, yeah, it's there. I mean, theater students tend to be more studious. Again, we said earlier, memorization being important. one of the big things about learning is memorizing. You memorize the formula to do the math problem. You memorize the facts for the history exam. You memorize how to write and where to properly use punctuation. It's all important. So what are some of the jobs that a theater student can do? Any of them. Any job in the world a theater student would be qualified for. Trial lawyer, CEO, manager, entrepreneur. Intrapreneur. Now, I'm supposed to be like trained and skilled in this, and I'm saying the words wrong. Man. So I just want you to see that in theater education, a student can learn not just to succeed, but to excel. These lessons are lessons which will last not only through school, but for a lifetime. Thank you so much for being with us today. And I want you to check these places out. Check out the San Angelo Broadway Academy. Check out the San Angelo Performing Arts Theater, and check out B Theater. All things here in San Angelo, creating a theater experience that you would be hard-pressed to find outside of New York, Dallas, Chicago, etc.